Hey there guys, it's Laurence Tham here from laurencetam.com. Today's video, I'm going to talk about what happens when you lose that drive. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know, when we're first graduated and we're super excited about practice, we are excited about whatever endeavor we're actually doing. And I'm going to use the example of being a chiropractor. I remember when I graduated, we are filled with, so much passion and drive. You just spend 4 to 5 years of your university life just studying massively hard and wanting to make a massive difference and make a change in the world. And that's what you're built for. And now you're ready for the real world and you have this hunger to succeed, to go after it, to really create this career, this longevity. And I remember thinking to myself, very, very clearly that I was going to really make a massive difference in my life. And I remember thinking to myself, I am going to adjust to the day I die. That's right. I was going to adjust to the day I die. Why is that so important? Well, because I know, right, that when I was so in love with my career that I'm going to still be in practice till the day I die. And that was the moment. That's exactly what I felt. And the key element of that, though, is that what happens is that over time, there was this period of time where that spark wasn't there anymore. That fire that was lit inside of me wasn't there. And the thing was what you remember, and most people think, well, of course, like when things are not going right, when the practice is not going well, you would start to lose that drive. That's actually not what happened. For me, if anything, my practice was doing super well. It was actually going really well. And I was, probably in the best time of my life at that moment. And, if anything, that my career was going really well, practice was going fine, but I just didn't have it in me anymore. And that was the key element. And that was that drive. And so the reason why I want to talk about this in today's video is because I've been speaking to several chiropractors over this past week, some who are super successful, but have lost that spark. Some who are struggling and have lost that spark. So it doesn't matter what spectrum you're in, because the reality is the spark. That's what I'm talking about. That sense of purpose, that sense of drive, sense of hunger, what happens to you when you have lost it. That is what we want to kind of make that change, is how do we shift it? How do we shift and how do we get that back? How do we get that spark back? How do we get that purpose back? Because without it, you and I both know that you might be thinking that you might be hiding it very well. But the reality of it is that you're not hiding it well, because it affects you and how you function. It affects everybody around you. It affects your family and affects your patients. And what happens is that the detrimental effect is that, are you really doing what you're meant to be doing? In the sense of, we became chiropractors because we're here to help people. We're here to adjust people. We're helping them moving towards health and wellness. But what I felt over time was that I wasn't performing at my best. I wasn't really delivering. I was doing the adjustments, but I wasn't shifting the world. And that is what frustrated me. And I had to go for a search. I had to search for exactly, is this what I'm meant for? Am I doing what's right? Am I doing the right thing? Because then you start looking at different career paths. You start looking at hey, maybe that would be better. Maybe that side thing over there, maybe that is much better for me, if that career, or maybe I'll just jump ship, or hey, that practice looks nice. Or am I searching for different techniques or different types of practices and different ways of doing things? But that never solves the problem. And so here's the thing. I think that if you don't get back towards that path, if you don't get back towards finding where that spark has gone, or at least finding that little spark that's still there and find fuel for it and light it up, it becomes a problem. And so here in this video, I want to show you 3 specific things that might give you some hints and ideas on how to find that passion. Maybe some ideas, not always going to work, but I'd love for you to consider it, because it's something that I had to look forward to in my life. And I think one thing that's neat to remember is that this continually happens. We can't solve it once and expect it never to come back. The idea is that it's always going to be there. And I think that what happens is that we need to understand that this is a process, and this process will go up and down in your career, and we'll have certain expectations of this. And it's okay to feel this way. And so the first idea that I have, the first one thing that you can kind of get out, help me got through it, is this process of what I call sliding futures. What I mean by sliding futures is that I looked forward towards the future I'm in. And what I mean by that is that I got to recognize that, when I was in my 20s or 30s, it's a very different model compared to when I'm in my 40s. And I know it's going to be different when I'm in my 50s. And so what happens is that you got to recognize sort of where you're at. Because in my 20s and 30s, I was pursuing. It was always about, I'll try to accumulate as much as I want, or I'll try to accumulate as much as I can. You know, whether it be the cars or the houses or the accumulation of success, acclimates, all that stuff. But when I hit my 40s, what happens is that it became different. You know, when you start having kids and you start to realize that certain things that I pursued in my 30s no longer matter to me anymore. What I start to realize that what I was trying to gain was order. What I was trying to figure out, I'm in the middle of it right now. I'm trying to figure out order. I'm trying to figure out exactly, like, I'm only want to pursue the things I actually care about, which might be experiences. It might be things that matter. And I stop spending things that don't matter anymore. And that's really important for you to think about. So those futures, now what happens is that those sliding futures means that what I used to be pursuing, what I wanted when in my 30s, is no longer what I want to pursue now. And what's helpful for you to think about is that you got to recognize is that maybe the question you need to ask is the future that you want now very similar, or is it the exact same future that you wanted back then? Because if it's not, or if it's the same, if you have changed, which we all have, it's important for us to maybe switch that. I remember talking to a chiropractor once, and you know, his target audience, you know, when we're talking about target audience, used to be pediatrics and mothers and, you know, pregnant women and all that. That's what he was interested in. Then he always thought that was his target market, and that's his answer, typical answer. But when we really got into it, after a while, is that his kids are no longer babies anymore. His kids were almost in the teens. And what he realized was that the target market he thought was always his target market changed. It's no longer the same amount. It's not the same type of people he wanted to care about. He didn't want to deal with babies anymore. He wanted to deal with, well, kids where his kids are. Parents were his age group, not parents that were in that realm of, you know, dealing with babies and nappies and stuff. And that's okay. But recognizing that at the beginning is super important. Understanding that is super important, because it means that the future of what you used to think is important no longer serves you, and therefore we can't be pursuing the same thing. So we gotta be okay with shifting our future. We gotta be okay that what you used to pursue is not necessarily the future that you actually currently want. And helping you evaluate that may help you see it from a different perspective. Because when you can see it from a different perspective, all of a sudden now you can change your reality and maybe change the pursuit and maybe find that spark again. The second thing I think is really important for maybe you to consider to help you kind of find the spark again, maybe it's about what I call the primal purpose, right? We all have to find like that thing that is aligned with us that actually drives us. You know, we've heard this term of like finding your passion, right? And the thing is that passion is misconstrued a lot of time because people think that it's like purpose or something. But reality is passion is, the root word of passion is about suffering. Like, what are you willing to suffer, right? Passion, the root word in Latin, it's suffering. What are you willing to suffer through? And are you willing to suffer through that process? Because if the pursuit you're going after you're not willing to suffer through, if that mountain that you want to climb up there is not the mountain you want to climb because it's too much work, then maybe you shouldn't climb up that mountain. And the reality is that if you're pursuing and going after something, if it's hard and if you're pushing for it, it's probably not the mountain you should be going after. For me, the primal purpose in life and the things that I do, I try to not try to get that feeling. It's whether or not I'm aligned with it. And the alignment has to pull me. It has to excite me. Because if it doesn't, if I feel like I'm forcing this, it's most likely not worth what I'm going after. It's probably I'm trying to push too hard. And so I think that's really important for us to consider is that what's pulling you towards this? Is this pulling toward? Then that's something you need to ask yourself. That is something that is really important to consider. The third way of actually tapping into that purpose and that spark again is anchors. It's these anchors that hold us back. If you look at the past, I always kind of look at my past and I kind of look at things that maybe have gotten me here, but how I got here may not necessarily carry me forth. And so they become anchors, things that kind of hold me back, limiting beliefs that stop me from, becoming that person. Those past thinking doesn't serve me. They don't serve me now moving forward to where I want to go. And so it's something for me to kind of look at is like, what's holding me back? What are some of the limiting beliefs that hold me back from the success that I'm trying to achieve? Considering if that achievement of success is what I want to try to achieve. Those anchors are the ones that are maybe those thoughts around that I'm not good enough. Am I smart enough? and or who am I to be able to do these things? Those anchors are critical to recognize and have that awareness, because if you don't, what ends up happening is that you get stuck. That stuckness is huge. Those anchors slow you down in the progress of where you need to go and what you're supposed to achieve. What I hope for these three things, that these give you three ideas and three maybe strategies to kind of maybe tap into that spark. Because what I do know in reality in the chiropractic profession is that the profession is only as strong as its members, and the members is you, and you're only strong, your practice is only strong as you, which means that you have to be fully aligned to what you do. And if you have lost that sense of purpose, and you've lost that sense of drive and that hunger, it's okay. We've all been there. Well, if you've been in practice long enough, you've all been there. I've done that several times. And but it's your responsibility to find where that spark is gone. It's your responsibility to find the fuel to light it up again. Because the reality is no one's going to come and give it a spark for you. They might inspire you, they might motivate you, but the reality is you have to search for it. You have to take that spark and be able to light it and want to light it within yourself. That is the torch that has to be had, but you have to have that tough conversation and realize that what perspective am I not seeing? What questions am I not asking myself? What things am I not seeing that I don't want to see? What things I'm not willing to listen that I don't want to hear? Because what's happened in front of you is that you're in the pursuit of the better version of you. I'm 45 years old. I'm trying to pursue the 5-year-old version of me, which is my 50-year-old version. That's the pursuit I'm trying to go on, because I know that the 50-year-old version of me is going to be a better version than the current version right now. And I think inherently, all of us have that desire. All of us have that instinctive drive to want to achieve more, to be the better version, not to just like success and money and all that stuff is inconsequential. What happens that's like the impact that's the wake that you leave behind. But I believe we have this inherent drive to pursue forward the future, the drive towards the better version of ourselves. And I hope these three questions or these three strategies or tools may help you kind of find that spark if you're in that place. Because I know in this profession, we need more people who are driven. We need more people who are on purpose, and we need more people who are passionate. If this helps you, please let me know, give a thumbs up, and maybe comment and let me know how this has maybe helped you create, more passion and purpose in your life. Take care.
My name's Carmen Atkinson. I am the owner of the health studio on the Sunshine Coast in Mooloolaba. I graduated in 2001, so I've been practicing chiropractic for a very long time. But prior to joining Nitro, I was in an associateship for a few years. I felt like I'd lost my authenticity, but I also really didn't think I had the confidence or the skill set to run my own practice. So I was in this duality of working for someone else where I really wasn't happy, but didn't have the confidence to pursue my own thing. So that was when I reached out to Laurence at Nitro. Feeling that way, you don't bring your best self to work, and you're constantly questioning how to do things. Could I be doing them better? How could I do things that fulfill me and help me serve my community better, but also help appease the person that you work for? I'd known Laurence for a very long time, and I've been following him on social media for a long time, and it was just that at some point you reach a level where it's just like, I can't stay, I have to do something different. I can't stay in this situation of feeling dissatisfied and just kind of falling out of love with chiropractic through the process. So I reached out to Laurence and really what to do. Do I stay where I am, and how can I make where I am work? Or do I have the skills, and can he help give me the confidence in myself to do my own thing and run my own practice? I think it was that realization that I love being a chiropractor, and yet I was in a situation where I wasn't loving it. There's a couple of times, and just prior to reaching out to Laurence at Nitro, where I really started to think what else I would do with my life if I wasn't a chiropractor. I've spent my entire life wanting to be a chiropractor. And then, getting to the point, and that was probably where you just kind of, enough is enough. When I was looking at Seek for other jobs that I could do outside of chiropractic, and that breaks my heart because that's all I've ever wanted to do. But also not knowing when you've spent your life only training to be a chiropractor, what else do you do? So that was scary, and I had to confront the reality of that. It's either I've got to do something different within chiropractic, or I need to step out and do something completely different, and I'd certainly prefer to stay in chiropractic. Laurence was instrumental to helping me reconnect with my confidence and my certainty in who I am as a chiropractor, and that I can be myself in chiropractic, and I can serve and do it well and be successful and be abundant. And I had lost confidence in myself as a chiropractor, lost confidence in chiropractic, and he just helped me reconnect with me and who I can be and who I can show up to be. And through that, it gave me the confidence to take that big leap to set up my own practice again. I think probably the lowest point in that journey was finding myself questioning a completely different career path. When I reached out to Laurence, I was at that point where it was, I either give up on chiropractic or I go out on my own. That was the crossroads I was at. Actually, it wasn't that long into conversations with Laurence where I started to believe in the possibility that I can recreate or create the practice of my dreams in a very short period of time. And then once I started to feel that confidence, momentum build, and then you start making a plan and then start executing and taking action. And with each action step, you build more confidence, and here I am, nearly 12 months later in a really successful new practice. I just feel rejuvenated again. I feel rejuvenated in my career. I feel I've created a space that represents me and how I want to do chiropractic and how I want to serve my community. And I love going to work, and I missed that feeling. I missed waking up excited about going to work, and that's how I feel now. It doesn't feel like work. I even go in there my days off just to be, because I love being in the space, and I'm gaining more and more confidence in my ability to do what I do and do it with love and do it well. I'm excited for the second half of my career. Maybe this is the middle third, but I'm excited about where my career is going to go and how it's going to continue to grow and transform, and who I'm going to become in the process. Whereas before, I think I was just stale, and I wasn't excited about my future in chiropractic. I've spoken to a few of my friends, definitely, and my brother's a chiropractor, and I would love for him to be involved in Nitro as well, only because I want to share this experience that I'm having. I want other people to experience it too, and particularly people who are into the 20 years into practice who might be feeling a little bit run down or burnt out. I just feel that Nitro is a reignition of that fire that we all had when we started studying chiropractic, when we first started our chiropractic careers. So I would love more of my friends and associates to get involved with Nitro. It's so nice to be a part of a group. You feel so in isolation at times in practice, but to turn up to our events or to jump on a phone call or a webinar and know that you're fully supported and that you're not alone, and that what you're feeling is very common and most people feel it, and having the opportunity and the resources to strategize your way out of that or through that and grow from the experience rather than putting your head in the sand. But developing new friendships and feeling a part of something and feeling part of a tribe, it's amazing.
Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't already done so, that subscribe button, you should press it. And because I want to share videos with you just like this one to help you grow your practice.